All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:33. It's August 18th. It is Tuesday. I hope everyone's feeling well. Started the week off on the right foot. Made a few little adjustments yesterday as the market gave you a little clues to take a little risk down. Obviously, if you have some swing longs on, you have some options on, you're playing for things. It's hard to just switch gears and unwind so fast. But there were definitely ways to help out. Every little bit helps, right? Anyway. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, also the founder of Red Dog Mindset. If you look up here at the SPYs yesterday broke below 774, which was a prior low. Hasn't really done that in a while besides right here, and then obviously didn't do much. So, above the 8-day, below a prior low. If you remember, yesterday, I'm like, what could get this market out of cruise control? I'm like, if the TLTs make new lows on the move and the rates make new highs, program sellers are going to come out. And that's exactly what the TLTs did yesterday. You look at the TLTs, broke below 81.82, broke below this 81.89. So right there, I put the chart out there a bunch of times. I'm like, you have to make some adjustments because markets don't care about rates until they care about rates. And yesterday, look at that move. What's the rate? What's TLTs doing this morning? Down a little bit. So sometimes the markets are programmed by certain scenarios. Could be oil, could be this, could be that. Well, rates didn't really matter much until they mattered. So anyway, with that being said, watch them today. If the TLTs go from down 10 cents to up 10 cents or something, maybe that at least has them from from the program sells. And then you have oil, which broke above this mid-level area, which again, when oil is kind of flat and doing a whole lot of nothing, the market doesn't care much. And we said yesterday that hey, if they don't put out the ceasefire another week or two, and and it seems like we're just mulling along here with this Mideast conflict, that's not going to be, it's not going to put buy programs. So anyway, put a little push up like that is also pressuring stocks a bunch. And today, oil is up a little bit. So these two things need to be up on your screen because that's kind of dictating the trade here in the SPYs. SPYs are a little off lows, down 350, not the end of the world. Again, you go back to the SPYs, the chart, and you'll see that you broke a little bit here. Again, we'll see. This is 767, which is the lower last week, so that's a point of reference. I would write that down. The 8-day is right around 771. This is yesterday's low. Make it a little bit bigger so you have your levels. So a bunch of things can happen today. We could reclaim 772 and put a little bottom tail and hold the 8-day and be like, wow, we're still above the 8-day ever since taking out the moving averages. Or we open below 771 and things can rally and there's no bounce and you break and close below the 8-day for the first time since a few weeks ago, which isn't a long time ago. And then we see 767, which had already hit this morning. Does that hold? If not, there's really nothing down to 760. It doesn't have to be a today story. It could be this week's story. So we'll see. So when you have some hedges on, yeah. So yesterday I put some hedges on too. I bought some 771 puts, which will be helpful. I also did the VIX as a power play. I went out all the way to September. Not saying the VIX is up huge, but I figured, hey, if they want to have some volatility, the VIX is at, everyone's talking about how it's at the year lows of the year, or maybe even a historic low. So I'm like, you know what? I'll buy some September 25. Which one? Bought some VIX calls just to have, which helped yesterday and maybe help a little bit today. But again, I still have some things on that are not fun. So what's Red Dog's biggest position right now? It's Nvidia. So a lot of people are like Nvidia is horrible. I'm like, well, it's definitely, it gave you a nice move here, all the way up to 224, pulled in, to the gap, held it, had a push. And what did it do yesterday? It tried to get up above 227.23, and it failed to hold it. So hopefully you took off your momentum shares. I have I definitely have options on for this Friday and next Friday, and I have some stock on. So I've already bought a little bit this morning. BAML came out and put a big price target. That doesn't matter much, but I'll try and trade around the stock. Um, this low here on the 8 day is what? This is 220. I would be nice if this thing could hold 220. You could buy more and trade around it. Um, what I'm not doing is I'm not adding to the Friday calls, because if this week turns into a wet blanket and we don't rally back, I don't need to buy options for this Friday. It's Tuesday. I'm also going to be away the next few days. What I might do on this buyback or this pulling, I'll buy some. I have some small 240s in for earnings. Earnings are on the 26th, which is a Wednesday. So if you think, which I kind of think, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, that NVIDIA's numbers will be good enough, the guidance will be good enough, and they're going to want this stock to be performing well, because it hasn't done anything all year, pretty much. This whole year, hasn't done much. And if they want to have a decent September for their IPOs to come out, Anthropic and this and that, and package that stupid, compute deal, then it's got to get above 236. And if it does, we'll be 240. So I figured I would buy some of those calls maybe on a dip. I'm not buying the ones for Friday in case the market does not do much the rest of this week. So anyway, well, I'll sell some of my hedges, but I'm going to keep the VIX on. I'm not going to touch the VIX. So sometimes Apple is stronger in a sea of red. It's up a little bit. So we'll see if that holds. I am long some options. Some guys think we did a double bottom at 300. So if we did a double bottom at 300, it's going to have to get above this with some authority. If you remember the last time we had a move up like this, memory was on the decline. So there was a program where you buy Apple, buy some mags while semis come in. We'll see how that goes. So what's this, high here? This high here is like 307.60. It's a little bit above that. 307, just say 65. So that's not 307. That's a pound sign. I would not add to Apple, on the sub move, but it'd be nice to see if it holds and some money wants to rotate there. That's what the market does. It rotates. If it holds above this 307.65, then here's your gap. We'll see how it goes. Apple right now is up 240, so it's it's kind of doing that reverse ETF game. Yesterday was really I don't know, it's just not good in Amazon. Morgan Stanley put this whole path, on the table. Stock was up 350. I didn't touch it even. I waited till it almost went red, and I bought a little bit, and it was hard. It didn't really work. So it did go into the gap a little bit. Gave you 258.34. Amazon's only down 90 cents from 287 down to the gap. That if it was really awesome, it should have held here. So it's not that awesome. It's just being Amazon, and Amazon does this a lot. Gives you only very, very, small opportunities. So down 89 cents. It's showing a little relative strength this morning. So maybe it goes red to green for cash flow. We'll see if Apple and Amazon want to be a little bit of a safety trade. Yesterday, I took off another third of MU. Listen, guys, if you're going to hold a little bit, you're going to hold a little bit. But MU, and I said yesterday, I said, do not buy SanDisk yesterday, and do not buy MU yesterday. We bought them last week. MU went on as a power play at 920, 925. So if you were buying it yesterday at 1,025, you got to check your process. You're not entering things the right way. So anyway, MU, from the right price around, buying against that gap, which was 899, or through 935, it went as high as 1036. You got 100 points, and look how extended. So if you happened to buy yesterday, which you chased and you did it wrong, and you hate to say it, but you deserve to lose money. You do. You deserve to lose money if you initiated yesterday. If you bought, just say 1,000 shares, but below 935 as a power play when we put that out there, and then sold some because we'd said sell a third at 975, Great. Yesterday we put out sell another third. That means we're using our tier system, and you sold, I think, 1,005, 1,010. You made a lot of money. So if you have one third on, okay, you can't be upset that that MU's down 50 points. You're holding a third. 50 points is a lot. It's just the way this market is. What's this low here? This low is 956. So I would say 956 is kind of a spot where if you did sell yesterday a third and you're like, hey, I think I could buy some back, here's 956, and then really this is the more compelling spot at 935. I have 25% of my MUU on. I've had MUU on the same amount of time as everyone's had on MU. We actually were buying in here. So yes, am I down a little bit in my MUU? I am, but I will buy some back now. I didn't add anything yesterday. Where can I buy back some MUU? This is 31.33. That's probably where I'll be doing it. It's the same spot as I just showed you in MU. It went as high as what? Yesterday, 36.60. I got down to super duper duper small yesterday. So a down move is cool. It happens. So I will see what I want to do here. I'll probably buy a little bit. It's down 366 with MU. So right into here. Okay. So if you were buying it when I was buying it in the 25s and got to really small, this could be an opportunity. And hey, could they shake the tree and could go a little bit lower? Yeah, of course it can. So you start a little bit smaller and see, hey, support 1, support 2. But if this doesn't hold, this trade's over, in my humble opinion. But we'll see. So I will be buying some back. Intel. I was selling Intel yesterday, up $2 or so. If you went long Intel with me and the Alpha team, which is what we did, around 96-ish and got very small 107-ish, guess what? You could buy some back, around here, which is like 99-ish. So that's how you manage your positions. If it all of a sudden opens down 5 and goes down 10, then this Intel trade's over. But anyway, Intel's down 5. It is. So I will be buying. I already bought a little bit back. So yesterday, remember, we came in and I showed you how I was trimming. I trimmed 5 different things into the gap up, and the virtual trade floor gets to see that. So now I'm buying a little bit back. So you can see Intel. It's going to say buy because I bought a little bit because I got very small yesterday. I haven't bought any MUU yet, but I will buy a little bit probably. But I did also sell some Nvidia at 227s. So I bought a little bit this morning. So that's managing the process. And if all of a sudden the trade truly changes, where we open up lower and the market just friggin' trends down, and then we're gonna have a wet blanket of a week, which we could. It's Tuesday. Rates are at highs. If all of a sudden, we don't hold 767 and this turns into a bigger, breaking of this ascending channel, then you got to take risk off because it can see there. So those are the thoughts. It's 646. We'll see how it goes. And again, I have a few little guys also that I'm trading around. Poet, I did trim some. Maybe I'll buy a little bit back. QUBT was, very tight. So I was like, you know what? I could buy a little bit of that. So maybe I add a tiny bit to this to see if this inside range continues to the upside. But we'll see. If you sold some NBIS yesterday, okay, into some strength, maybe you could buy some back around 247-ish, and that is what you do. SpaceX, the lockup is what, 821-ish. By the way, is the stream still working, Conrad? Everyone's paying very close attention. Anyway, it hit 149 again. Am I going to sell some puts again? I sold puts a bunch of times. Here I was selling 90, 95 puts, and I bought the stock at 110. Here I sold the 135s. Here I sold the 125s. I am probably not going to sell puts today just because, I'm not sure. I'm going to be on the road again for 821. So I want to see where SpaceX is, and how they react. If it hangs out up here, they might have a better, easier time to sell some, sell it down a little bit because a lot more shares are opening up on 821. So we shall see. So, but again, if it wants to be special, it has been since, this move. holding around 135-ish would be, which would be healthy. Hi, Scott. Do we focus on the SPYs or the Qs? I don't know. I have SPY. It's funny. I had some Q calls left over, and I bought some SPY puts. I bought the 771s for tomorrow. Or no, actually, is it for today or for tomorrow? Yeah, 771s for 819 for tomorrow, and I had some of the Q calls on for today, which are going to obviously be worthless. Like I said, it depends on the day. Like I do have some Nvidia calls on, which will cost me money. I have some Nvidia calls on for thinking that, hey, if we were going to have another bullish week, we would float back up to 232, 236. That might be wrong. I might have been wrong. The idea might not work. I'm not going to say, well, you got to buy, and I'm going to lose you a lot more money. What I'm probably going to do, which I think is prudent, instead of buying the 230s and adding to them just in case this week's not a great week, I will go out and I'll add to the earnings options on a dip because they'll cost less. And if the earnings deliver and they talk about their future and it's good enough and they want to get this going, then at least there'll be a catalyst for me to be involved in versus there's no catalyst this week. Like Bama came out and just gave it a $350 price target, and we'll see if it could even come off lows. So we got to see. So I did buy a little bit more Nvidia this morning, and we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, again, I would think that the smarter thing would be not to buy the 227.50s for this Friday. Go out next Friday and pay a little bit more for the earnings volatility premium and see. That's if you want to be in it. If you don't want to be in it, that's cool too. But the Qs, if you want, Qs acted pretty much a little bit better than the market yesterday, but it looks a little relatively weak this morning. Qs already below. This is 724. I would say, 715-ish would be, these are your levels in the Qs. It's below 728. Does it hold 724 or reclaim 724? If it doesn't, you have the 21 day at 715. And the Qs right now are down 8. So you're below 724. You're at 721. There's not a whole lot going on. So it's called no man's land. Do you want to play in no man's land? No. But it might not get there. So I would let it put a 5, 15, 30-minute low. And if you think it's going to bounce, buy versus that bounce and see how it goes. If it doesn't bounce and things don't go red to green and there's nothing to hang your hat on, then just be a little careful. But just make sure you're managing your process. There's no hoping in trading. There's no wishing in trading. There's manage your risk. Hopefully yesterday you managed a little bit of it before today. And if you didn't, make the right decision at the right time today with your levels and a process. And that's what we do. I want to appreciate you guys for tuning in. By the way, I do leave at 12 o'clock today. I will be doing live on the fly for August. I will be doing some workouts from the mountains and the beaches, and I'll also, be giving you a few thoughts on the morning on what the key of the day could be. But there will be no 6:30 club for the rest of this week. None. No 6:30 club for the rest of this week. I will be going to Avalon with my wife. My son's at a sleepaway camp teaching basketball, so this is the week that we chose to go. So I will adjust accordingly, like everybody else does. Some people take nothing on vacation, and I get that. You should recharge. A lot of young traders like, should I be taking any stocks on vacation? I'm like, not if you can't handle it. But for me, I'm in a few things that I feel like I can manage, and I could check in and do a few things, and it's not that much of a heavy lift. I've been doing this for 30 years. I could do what I need to do in the morning until 10:30, 11, and still enjoy the beach and have a nice lunch with the wife without it ruining my day. Anyway, because sometimes you like something, you have a thesis on something, you go away, and it happens while you're away, and you don't play because you're away, and it hurts you even the same psyche. So anyway, know what you can handle and how you can handle it, know your time frame, and we'll see. Either way, here, you're below 724. Do we hold 715 or not? Do we hold above it or not? Does Apple hold above 307 and give you a push? That would be something that it's been doing lately. When semis come in, Apple goes up. Can Nvidia hold this 220-ish area, take back the 8-day, or is it going to lose the 8-day, which has been support since it ignited? All little things as an active trader is what you have to look for. Like yesterday I said, take some damn risk down if the TLTs break below 2182, Put some hedges on, buy some VIX because the market's not going to like with rates making highs and TLTs making lows in the month. And the computers then started to sell in the afternoon, and they've been selling all night. Adjust, move your feet, multiple plans. That's what keeps you in the game, not the people on TV that, think like you're getting advice from them. And, you learn your process and get your inner voice and use your resources. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.